My name is Kris Barney, and I am a domestic abuse survivor. In 1999, my ex-husband shot and killed our 3-year-old daughter, Miranda. Charles was very charming. I was young when we met, and we had a lot in common. He had a little boy from a previous relationship that I just instantly fell in love with. He was the sweetest little thing. And we got married when I was 23. He was 25. 6 months after I married him, I remember sitting in my chair in my living room and just sobbing because I knew I had made a mistake. But then, what do? You married this guy, you have to make it work. He was seeing other women, and so I was so beat down, and my self-esteem was so low. When Charles and I divorced, he made sure I was terrified for my life every single day. He would tell me all the time, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill Miranda. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your family. His MO was psychological and emotional abuse, coercive control, gaslighting, and I had him arrested for stalking, and he was actually convicted of stalking. The abuse never stopped. It never stopped until he met Michelle. He had moved in with Michelle. When she decided to leave the relationship is really when he decided that he was going to kill everybody. He confronted Michelle in the parking lot after work because he knew her schedule, he knew everything. He also had a restraining order. So when he approached her in the parking lot, she told him, she said, "You are not supposed to be here. If you don't leave, I am going to call the police." And it was then that he took out a gun from his coat and shot her point blank in the face, surrounded by her coworkers and her friends. And then he calmly walked over to the vehicle where he left my daughter, Miranda, sitting alone. And I'm gonna cry. He walked over and took her from the vehicle and calmly walked her over to Michelle's dead body. And according to witness statements, he whispered something in her ear. And then he brought the gun to her temple and shot her in the head. And then he turned her over and shot her again. And then if that wasn't enough horror for one day, he pulled out a hunting knife and he laid Michelle and Miranda side by side in the median of the parking lot, and he took out a hunting knife and repeatedly stabbed Michelle over and over, mutilating her body. By that time, the police were there, emergency responders were there. They begged him to put his weapon down, and he said no. And then he raised his gun and pointed it at police, and they shot and killed him. It took me 3 years to decide to leave the country and concentrate on my other 2 children and my marriage. I went through the necessary steps of counseling. After all of that, I decided that I needed to advocate for victims of domestic violence. We are talking about domestic violence so much more than we were back in 1999, and there are so many more resources available for victims now than there were for me back in 1999 when Miranda died. And I want to address the victims. I want you to know that you are not alone. There are so many people who do understand where you are at this time. I just want you to understand and to know that people like me and other advocates are really rooting for you.